Howdy. I thought that I would show you how to create costume renderings here inside Photoshop using images you can download directly out of Google. So I'm going to go to Photoshop and create a new file to start. Your version of Photoshop may be different than this. This is a slightly older version, but in essence, everything pretty much comes out the same. You're going to proceed very similarly no matter what version you have. So what I like to do is default to US paper, but then once I've got that, I like to make it just a little bit smaller. So I create an image that's going to be about 8 by 10.5 because you're printing on 8.5 by 11 paper. That way, when you go to print, you don't crop anything. I also go with a resolution of about 100 because images coming off the web tend to be fairly low res. Now, if you were doing scene design rendering and you wanted the horizontal image, I'd just make the width 10.5 and make the height 8, but this will work just fine. So now I have this image here. In essence, a blank canvas. And I've opened some windows inside Photoshop, and you can see all those that I have turned on. And you can certainly move them around your screen here. History allows you to look at all the changes that you're making, and if you want to undo something, you chuck it in the trash. Paragraph lets you move the text around. Character gives you that text. You may actually have it up here in a window, but it's easier to have that anyhow. And the layers lets you see what it is that you're working on. And then I also like to go here and turn on the navigator tool, which allows you to zoom in and out. So I've got Google up and running, and I'm just gonna type in, because I'm just randomly picking a desert background. So if I type in desert and I go to images, oh golly, this looks like a nice one. Now, depending on the size of the image, and you can tell what's going on here, this will be pretty large when I download it, but basically, you can just grab this image, and I'm using my index finger to hold down the clicker on my mouse, and here it is. So I brought that image right onto my screen here. Now, if I go up here on this menu, which I like to have running on the side, this allows me to alter and work on the various layers and what have you, but I can move things around and position it. I'm not sure that I'm going to want to make it a little bit larger, so I'm going to go under Edit, and I'm going to go to Transform, and I'll go to Scale. And what this allows me to do is tug on the image and move it. Now, I've slid it over here so that I can pull on the image and alter its size. Now, to move it proportional, I'm going to hold the Shift key down on the keyboard, and that means that now everything is moving proportionally. Now, I can't go on and do anything else to this until I hit Return once I've transformed. So I hit the Return key, and or you can go up here and select the Move tool. And I don't know, I kind of like that background. I think that works pretty well. So now I'm going to go back to Google, and I'm just going to type in man in coat. I don't know what's going to come up, but let's see what we get. I think having a guy in the better part of a coat that we can see a good part of the torso and then muck around with it is going to make the job a lot easier. Also, if you have a light background, though you certainly don't have to, it makes editing this thing a lot easier too. So I think this guy is a reasonable place to start. Although the image is pretty small, it's 300 by 300. Let's see what happens to it when I drag it. So I simply selected it and dropped it in. It's awfully small. I'm going to try transforming, but I want to show you that if the image is too small, it stays quite fuzzy. So Edit, Transform, Scale. Now I'm going to hold the Shift key so I can pull it, and he moves proportionally. Let me hit Return now. Oh, he's not too fuzzy. You can see that the resolution's fairly low. I'm going to use my navigator tool over here and zoom in so I can kind of see. Yeah, he's pretty fuzzy. But one of the nice things here is that it's got a light background, so I can edit it. But I think I'm going to save this for later. So I'm going to zoom back out a little bit so I can see my image. If you go over here to the layers and you click on the eyeball, that turns it off. It hasn't removed it, but it does make it so I'm not looking at it anymore. Let me go back here and see what else is here in the way of a man in a coat. Must I be a man in a suitcase? Maybe a man in a jacket then. Let's find something. I'm not exactly sure. Man in jacket. Not exactly sure what I'm looking for, but I do want to find something. How about this guy? He's much better resolution. So I'm going to drag him and dump him right into here. Ooh, very large image. So I'm going to transform this. Now, a shortcut to transforming is Command T. So that simply allows me to edit it. So I'm holding the Shift key and I can move him proportionally. Now notice that if I let go of that key, I can squish him, stretch him, and if I just randomly pull on this, it doesn't hold the proportional shape. So that's why I like to hold the Shift key. So, I mean, one of the difficulties here is the top of his head's cropped a little bit, but so be it. I'm going to stick a hat on him in a little bit anyway. He's still a little large, but that's all right. I want to show you that if you want to get rid of this background and just leave him here, I would simply take this magic wand tool. Now you can see what other options are here by holding down with your index finger. I'm right-handed, so I'm holding down the left click. Quick selection tool and the magic wand tool. I think the magic wand is going to be easier. So now I've got my magic wand. I go over into this zone over here that's gray. I click on it. It highlights everything that's gray there. Now I hit the delete key. It gets rid of all of that stuff. And I can even get rid of this little gap in between his jacket there. Now by highlighting this, I'm going to go back to my, there we go. I'm clicking back and forth because I want to get out of that mode there. So I'm back to the move tool. He's still too big for my screen, so I'm going to transform him, edit, transform, scale. I'm going to hold the Shift key here again so I can bring him down a little bit more, make him proper sized. Okay, and I hit return, so now I can maneuver him. Now, if I wanted to see, position him around, I can slide him about the place, but I'm going to go back to Google, and I'm going to go cargo pants. I don't know, just making this up. Here we go. What's a good pair of cargo pants to put on him? See if I can find something that's got some boots with it. I think boots would be great. Sneakers, I could always stick some other shoes on it, but these look all right. Let's see how this goes. If I select this image, how big is it? Yeah, that's not too bad, though the waist is certainly awfully small. What's this like? Oh, those aren't rough enough. I'm looking for something that maybe is a little more rugged, and I would say maybe just a little more exotic for this image of what I'm working with. So if I go back here and look, he's wearing some jeans. I could certainly put him in red pants, that's for sure. But again, if I find something with a light background, that can make the job a little bit easier. But if not, I'm fine with, finding something that's got more stuff with it. And I'll show you how to edit that. So this is really big image. I'm going to drop it, and it's going to take over because it's so large. But if I'm using my move tool here, if I now hold down the Shift key, oh, nope, sorry, I got to do Command T, hold the Shift key. I start to slide this up to the corner, and then now if I pull it back, it's still too large. So I'm going to hold the shift key, I'm going to push this, pull it back. Oh, still a bit big. Shift key. There we go. Let's try something like that. Now I got to hit return or I can't do anything else to this image. Now I've still got a lot more information here than I want. So I'm going to get rid of that by going up here with the rectangle tool. And I'm going to start outside of the image, beyond it a little bit. And I'm holding down the left click button with my index finger. I've highlighted it. Now if I hit delete, that gets rid of all that nonsense. If I go over here, click on this, that gets rid of a lot more stuff that's there. Now I'm curious what the magic wand tool will do. It's not really getting rid of things very effectively. I mean, you can go about and just basically delete things, but now you see what happens here. That would be getting rid of a chunk of the pants, and I don't really want to do that. So this is only useful to a point. I think I'm probably going to need to figure out using the eraser tool or something like that, but let me see what I can get rid of here. A little bit more. Yeah, so I've gotten rid of a lot of the noise, the extra stuff that I don't need. Oh, yeah, that's not too bad. I don't want to lose the pants, so let me see what happens if I do that. Now, delete doesn't really do anything for that. So what I'm going to actually do is go in and select the eraser tool, which is over here. Now, there are different kinds of erasers. Background eraser tool, magic eraser tool. I'm just using the eraser. You get these different options up here. You can affect its size, the hardness of it. So if you just want to get rid of a certain amount of the image with a soft edge, you can do that. You can change the size of your eraser. Now notice I'm going to go over here and zoom in a little bit more so it's a little easier to work on this thing. Basically, I hold down the left click button and I can start erasing. And I'm basically just sliding around, getting rid of all this other stuff that I've got in here. Now, if I want to see this without all the background and other things here, I'm going to turn off these other layers by going over here with the eyeball. Now I can see much more easily what I've got to erase. And I can just very quickly get in here and ditch all of this stuff. But you can see how by simply, and I could also go up here really quickly and make this more efficient by getting a bigger eraser. And I can't get the little detail and what have you very easily, but it does let me remove a lot of the extra crud that's in here very quickly. Now, for the sake of this video, so you're not watching me do this forever and ever. Now, if I'm going to speed along, leave the image a little bit messy. Now, if I found that I had made a mistake and I had erased too much, I can go back over here to history, and if I drag that thing that I just did into the trash, you can't really see it, but it basically puts it back. So I'm undoing, there you go. You can see how I was undoing that erasing. So that makes that part of things a little bit easier. Again, I can zoom in more or less, which allows me to affect the area that I'm working on and see a lot more detail. And I'm going to go back to the move tool. I'm going to turn on these layers and turn on my background so I can start to see how this is working together. Now I'm working on the trousers. I'm going to put those down here. And then I've got this guy. Now the pants are in front of the guy, and I don't really like that. So I'm going to click on the layer there. Oh, sorry, I don't know why I'm getting that, but I'm going to cancel it. So now I have the guy here, and I could actually, by clicking on over, clicking on the text over there, I can say coat. I can label my layers. I can click on this over here. Come on now. There we go. And I can say pants. I could say background. So basically you get the idea. So now I've got the coat, and what I want to do is drag the coat and move it. So I'm holding down the left click button there with my index finger, and that allows me to push this layer to the front. Now, by taking this guy, I'm probably going to shrink him a little bit more. Command T, I'm going to shrink him a little bit more, so a bit smaller. And I'm going to hit return. I'm going to go back to my pants. I'm going to make them smaller. Command T, because he's just looking a little bit big here. Now, I got this, okay, and hit return. I got this whole thing going on with him and his trousers. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. And I'm going to get my eraser tool again, which is right here. It's still, whoops, I'm erasing the pants. So that was a mistake. I go back up here to the history. Now I got to select the layer that I want to work on. So whoops, I've got it highlighted here, and I've got the eraser. I quickly erase a bunch of this nonsense that I don't need. Now, if I made the eraser a little bit smaller and zoomed in, I could get much more detailed in what I'm working on. You can see this. Now, if I want to move over, I can slide down here. You can see how I can get rid of this stuff. Now, this guy also has a blue jacket, these pants, so I'm going to have to mush things together a little bit more. So I'm going to zoom back out here. Well, it looks like he's got a number of layers of clothes going, but I can move him around now. Go back to my move tool. You see how I selected it up there? Slide him down. He's sitting on his pants now. He's working much better, I think. So I've quickly added some pants to him, sliding around. Now, if the pants are still a little bit too big, I can go Command T, make those maybe a little bit smaller. I could also stretch them. So if I want him to have longer legs or shorter legs, I can do all those things easily inside here. And I hit return, and I'm done transforming that. I've been working on this for a little while. Boy, his body looks too big, doesn't it? So I think I'll make him a little bit smaller for his pants. But I don't want to go too much further without saving my progress. So I'm going to go under File, and I'm going to save, because if I've been working for a while and everything falls away, that'll be a problem if I lose all my progress. So I'm going to say costume rendering, and I will save that. I'm going to save it to the desktop. I would maximize the compatibility. I think that's good. So here, I think I'm going to make this a little bit smaller. Command T, and hopefully that's working. I got to hit return or I can't move on. So that looks a little bit better proportionally now with him with his hands in his pocket. That's not too bad. Now, if I want to get a hat, I'm going to type in World War II bomber hat. Let's see what comes up. Oh, interesting. I could stick some goggles on it, but he's looking pretty much straight at us. So we're going to have to find something where somebody has a hat that's coming directly. Now this might work, but it looks a little problematic. Ah, here's one. Let's use this thing. It's not a bomber hat, but that is interesting. Oh, this is good. Maybe we could use that. That also looks like it's going to be pretty easy to delete some of this stuff. Notice Google also gives you all these other options of things that it thinks are similar. So I'm going to drag this hat right into it, into the rendering. I'm going to select my magic wand tool. Oh dear, it's curious how it's not getting rid of, I mean, it wants to delete all kinds of other stuff, so I guess I have to use my eraser tool here. So again, for the sake of speed, I'm going to do this really quick. Now, if you root around on the internet or you play inside Photoshop, you may actually find tools that are faster and better at editing and cutting away all this nonsense faster than what I'm doing here. But I think this is a reasonable way to start. I think I'll leave that for now. But and I can, because I can always come back in and chop away at it. So now I've got his hat, put that up here. I'm going to do edit, transform, scale. So I'm going to pull this thing down. Again, I could stretch it or muck around with it in different ways. But let's see what that looks like on him. Now notice that it's sitting up here, it's on the top layer, but if I had been in between, this wouldn't be in front. So I'm going to put that there. Now if I want to cut away and do some more with the eraser, I certainly can. It's not moving very easily, or it seems like it's having a little trouble being very specific when I go to move it. This is moving generally, but I can't quite nudge it. So I'm using the left, up, down, and right arrows that are right here on my keyboard, and then I can nudge things. Remember, though, that you can zoom in and really take a much closer look at what you're doing there. I think this is halfway decent for a speedy rendering. I got to hit return. Now I got this hat here. Now if I want to stick some other boots on him, I can do that too. So if I do men's boots, let me find a boot that might work for this. Now sideways, perspective-wise, that maybe isn't the best boot. Let's try this one. This looks halfway decent. I'm going to drop that in. Good. And it's huge, but I can shrink it. Command T, which is good. I'm going to hold it proportionally. Shift allows me to shrink it. And I really could clown him up by giving him giant boots, but I'm not. I hit return. Now I can grab my magic wand because it's all white there, and that gets rid of it. And then I click again with my mouse, and that makes it stop with the selection tool. I can put this down here, and I can zoom out a little bit more because I want to see how that's looking proportionally. I think it's a little bit big yet, so I'm going to do Command T, Shift, hold the Shift key, make it a little bit smaller. That's better. Hit return. Now, I want to make another boot without hunting up more boots. I'm going to slide this over just a little bit. So basically what I'm going to do is go under Layer, Duplicate Layer. So the layer I'm working on, I'm going to duplicate it. I can say second boot or boot 2. And I haven't labeled the other layers, but I can. So now I've got that second layer. You can't see it, but sitting here and you go, oh man, I don't want his boots going that way. I want them actually to flare the other way. So you can go under Edit, Transform, and you can flip horizontal. You can rotate 180. I'm just going to flip it horizontal. So now I can move it over here, and I've got my second boot in place. He's a little splay-footed there, but that's not bad at all either. There are here some other transformations that you can do in terms of rotating and skewing. So if I want to tilt this thing up and down, curve it a little bit more, I can do that too. Again, each time you finish transforming, you got to hit the return key or you're going to be stuck there. Now I could take the eraser tool and I could put these things behind the pants and erase some of the pants so that they appear to overlap on here. But for the sake of what I'm doing here, I think it's a little cartoony, but we're getting there. I think I will try transforming. Command T, make his boot a little bit smaller and see what that looks like, because they just look huge. That's just pretty funny. That's a little better. I'm going to leave the other one big just because I'm being that guy. Now I want to save my progress again. So now I won't lose things as they fade away. Or I mean, if the computer crashes. So again, you can transform things. I wanted to show you one other tool. I'm going to select this guy, the coat layer, and I want to show you that there are also here under filters a number of things that you can do to the images themselves. One of them that I really like is to go to artistic Although you can certainly go to Sketch. There are different tools that will make it look more like a drawing. And I found actually that Poster Edges does pretty well. And what it does is it peels out the image and allows you to look at it with different techniques. So if you want to simplify it, wow, that's weird looking. Very strange. But as far as renderings go, I think that the Poster Edges is really kind of neat. So I think that's okay. I'm going to go up there and select it. Now you see how that's changed things. So if I go and do his hat up here, and I go to filter, and notice that it remembers the last thing I did. I can do it again easily. It did have sliding scale, so you can have more or less of what you're doing to it. I don't know. It's not an obligation, but it does seem like it helps to push it a little bit out of the real world. But, you know, again, feel free to do what you would like to do. Now, I want to add text to this, so I'm going to go over here to this side menu, and I've selected text. Now, the way this is set up, I have text showing up here, but also I went under Windows and I found text and, or excuse me, character, and turned that on. So we're good. So I'm going to start typing over here, and I'm just going to say costume rendering, and I've got a pretty large font going, which I think is good. I'm going to hit return, and I'm going to put my name. You might put the character's name, the show title, but I'll add those things. Now over here you can say, if you've got, you see how crowded that is? I'm working with 18. If I drop this down to 14, I've got to highlight it, sorry. So I'm gone over to it, and I've highlighted it by holding the mouse down there. Otherwise, it's not doing anything to it. There, I shrank this font to 14. I got 16 between it. I can do other things to those letters, all here inside that happy menu. And I move it over here. Now, it's in a very light color right now, but if I want to change the color, I'm going to come over to here. I'm going to click on the T, or where this is. That's highlighted it by double clicking on there, and I can do other things to it. Notice here that the color is an option, and I could do it in red, doesn't show up very well. I could do it in yellow. You get the whole spectrum here, but I think I'm just going to stay with something very lightly colored. Say okay. So then I'm going to go back to my move tool. I can move that around. And I'm going to, again, save this so I don't lose my progress. Now, I would say as a final step, when you're done with it, boy, he looks kind of weird. Bit of a jackrabbit. You could put bunny ears on him if you felt like it, or maybe antlers. I'm just saying, go find some antlers. But what I would recommend when you're all done is save as, and what it's going to do is give you this option here, and I would really recommend that you save your rendering as a JPEG. You can retitle it, and basically save it to the desktop or create a folder where you want to put all of your work. And by saving it as a JPEG on a high res, that means you can upload it, you can move it around, but it's still saved your Photoshop. Please don't send Photoshop images. You really have to have that program to make it work, and they're problematic because anytime I go to click on it, I am altering the image as a JPEG. It's frozen. The other thing that I wanted to show you before I sign off here is that you can combine layers. If I want to, say, take this hat and the coat and the pants and make it all one, because I know that this is something that I want to move around on the screen, I'm going to turn off the layers that I don't want to look at. So I'm going to turn off the background, because if you merge layers with a background, you're stuck with that background. I'm going to save the pants. I'm going to move the text actually down here because I want it at the bottom. I'm going to take the boots and turn them off. But I really like this enough to merge it. So I'm working here. I've selected this layer, but what I want to do is pick one of these layers that I want to merge. Notice the eyeball is on these three, and I have this checkerboard pattern, which means that I don't have the background on, because if I do this with the background, it's merging it into the background. But if I go to layer and I merge visible down here, it takes all of those and shoves them together. So now when I turn these things back on, I can move all of this as one, reposition it, but I never merged the boots, so I can still muck around with boots and shift them about. Oops, turn that off. I meant to simply highlight it. And I can put that ginormous boot there. I can move this boot here, boot and a boot. There we go. Now that's weird looking. Let me make that smaller. It's just going to make me crazy. Command T and hold the shift key, and I'll make that boot a little bit smaller. Hit return. Now I can move it into place. That's not quite so bad. It's a little weird. I could certainly change and alter the boots and distort images, but that gives you an idea of how to make this work. Notice though that I mistakenly put the text below the background, so it wasn't visible. So by moving it up now, it's on top of or in front of the the background, and having selected it, I can move my text around. So again, if I file save as a JPEG costume rendering, it just numbers them differently, but I got to go down here, choose JPEG, save it. I can replace, I can retitle it. So basically I'm going to replace it with this version because I think this is working better for me. So that gives you an idea of how to work with Photoshop and downloading images, creating renderings. This would work very well also for scene design renderings, any kind of images that you're creating, merging things. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact me.